Well, hello, Flosstube. Welcome to Grandma's World. I'm Debbie, and life is still insane. When my son started one of his channel posts several months ago, he said, "Oh, we're still here." Yeah, we're still here, and things are looking good. Things are looking better, and I shouldn't be so relieved since the election because, you know, I'll tell you my experience with Washington, D.C. I used to take 8th graders there on trips. I taught 8th grade for 25 years, and for a few of those years I would take kids for their 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. And my perception of the city as a whole is that it was kind of like the Truman Show, in a big bubble. And those people that are in and working in that bubble think that that's the world, and that they know everything about what they're doing, and that they're making decisions based on what they know from that world. But it is an amazingly beautiful piece of fantasy, made to intimidate, and it does. And but they're out of touch, and so I'm not convinced that they are not still out of touch with my life or with most people's lives. So I'm not as relieved as I would hope to be after the election. Certainly relieved that things went the way they did. At home, I think I shared last time, was that a month ago, 6 weeks ago? Time is irrelevant right now. The house was pretty much in chaos. It has been for 2 years, as I work through some, 47 years of neglect and stashing and saving and hoarding, and even though I've purged and purged and purged, it's still a very full house. And so I've been purging and purging and purging some more. And it's almost done. At least this phase is almost done. When I'm finished with what I've been doing for the last 2 years, I'm going to take a break for a year or two. The kitchen still needs to be done, and the family room that's over there needs to be done. But the other rooms, my front room, it was the original living room to the house, then it was a bedroom for a long time, and then it was a bedroom for someone else for a long time, and then it was a storage room. That is done, and I'm going to record a quick peek to share here of where it stands right now. And then I did my bedroom's okay. It needs work, but it's okay. I redid a guest bathroom. I redid the guest room, and all of that impacted the rest of the house. So it's shoveled out. A lot of it is shoveled out. And in I'm going to say another month, maybe 2 months. In another month, by the middle of next month, I will move out of my storage unit and bring the stuff here, and it will go into that family room again. And I can sort it out into the spaces that I've created throughout the rest of the house and the garage. And then I will be done, and I will just take a year or two to not be engaged in backbreaking labor. Just kind of enjoy my space and get back to sewing. I have several quilting projects that I really do need to get to. My older I have 4 grandsons. I did create not a quilt per se, it was a blanket. My mother started making these when my kids were little, where you just take a piece of fabric, the width of the fabric, which is usually 46, 48 inches by 60 inches. And she would just take a pretty fabric, put a piece of bat down, put a flannel backing on it, and then tie it. And then put flannel around the edge, which was really nice. If you're the mom with the baby and you've put that blanket over it, that it's not that cold satin against your face, it's nice warm flannel. So she started doing those when my kids were little, and I did one of them when my first grandchild was born in Japan. The thing about Japan is that they don't have a lot of space to store a lot of stuff. And so I didn't make another one of those for the second child. By the time the second child was born, the first was old enough to not need that size blanket anymore. At least I didn't think so. And they reused the other one for the second child. But I still would like each of my grandchildren to have a quilt that Grandma made for them. So that's on my list. And those are my two older grandsons are in Japan. And now I have two younger ones just right over the hill from me. One of them will be 3 in May, and the other one was just born last month in December. They're so cute, and they look just like each other. The two little boys as little babies, they really do look like each other. So as far as, and they're kind of driving it. I have all the fabric and all the patterns. I have everything I need to make each one of those boys a quilt from Grandma. And then I also make Christmas stockings for every new person that comes into the family. And so I want to have that new baby's Christmas stocking done by next Christmas, by his first Christmas. And then there was one other thing in there. I have to make a quilt for my own bed. Plus I have another quilt that I need to finish. I just have a little bit of simple quilting to do on it, and then tack down binding. So then that'll be done. And that's been a huge project. And I will share that with you. There's a lot of embroidery on that project. So yeah, that's sitting there. And there was one other, oh, I know, it was a quilted advent calendar. I started to make it for that close by family. And I can't find the fabric that I need. And I'm going to have to do some kind of reconnoitering on it. So I ended up offering the one that my boys were raised on at my house to my younger son, since he was the one who used to get be the most excited about it. And then we're going to see where my older son ends up. They're thinking to move out of Japan, and I don't know where they're going to go. And I don't know that they know where they're going to go. That's not necessarily a decision you make during an international pandemic. But if it's somewhere, if in the course of making that move, they end up somewhere where space isn't such an issue, then that will help me decide what other things to make for that family. But it's silly to be sending them things that they cannot dispose of easily if they're getting ready to move to another country. So that's kind of where that sits. For myself, it just feels so good. Let me show you my kitchen, because I think I showed you my kitchen last time. So let me show you where I am now with it. Whoops. Let me show you where I am now with the kitchen. So much better. Just normal kitchen clutter now. This is not the mess. I can get to my, that's why I call that Operation Central. That's where I keep my planner in the morning, and then that's all cleared off. That little box right there is what's left of 2 years of purging 3 rooms and a garage. Those are the things like, I'm not sure what to do with those just yet, but I'll take care of it. And my table is just what I need right now to record this. The family room this is my family room. It is still a disaster. It's not as bad as it looks though. You can kind of maybe see a little bit of the entertainment center on the other side of that tree. And that's what's getting moved into the front room. And before I can get the movers out to move that, I have to unpack it. Most of what you see in there, most of this stuff is all empty boxes. And so I need to pack up the stuff that's in the entertainment center, stack it in the empty boxes out of the way, clear a space. This work center with the butcher block, it moves. You can push it. And so I'm going to push the table I'm sitting at and that toward this window that's behind me and give the movers room to get it out and into the front room there. And then when that happens, I'll bring the stuff from my storage unit and just stack it in here. And if it takes me a year to clear that out, that is fine with me. A lot of the stuff that's in the storage unit is going in my guest room closet. And then there's furniture and stuff in there that I'm really not sure where it's going to go. Some of it will be used in either the front room or in the family room. But I don't really remember what all is in there. I know I have some collection stuff in there. My Jared Maruyama collection's in there, and various projects and boxes full of quilt supplies and that kind of stuff. But I have room for it eventually, maybe in another year. Depends on how I can stash things for now. I will be redoing my sewing room closet, and when that gets done, it's going to free up a lot of space. It's just going to use the space in the closet more efficiently. And that'll free up space for the stuff that's going to get stashed in that room right now. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm much relieved. I actually was able to go shopping today. I went to Michael's. I had a problem with some framing I had done, and framer David took care of that for me. And I remembered to get floss for a project. And then I went to Dollar Tree. And all I wanted were the clear saucers to go under potted plants. And they didn't have any left. And so I said, well, I know there was other stuff I needed here. And I actually remembered it. The stuff that I was kind of putting off getting anywhere else that I wanted to get at Dollar Tree, some big thermometers, some hooks for things in the garden, some hairband things I used to make masks out of. I was looking for easels. The two things that were on my list to get, they didn't have. The saucers and then some of those plastic easels. But I remembered everything else and got it all home. So that was good. So where I am now, let me show you kind of what I've worked on. And I don't even remember. I think you saw my Shores of Hakron Hollow is done up through 3. And all I've done since the last time is start on 4. So I've got 1 star in the sky and the words the moon. I don't like doing words, and so it's hard to get excited about it. What's exciting about it, though, is that this moon block is really the only one that isn't going to be fun to do of what I have left, so I should gut it out and do it. Most of my time, though, in the last month was finishing this up. This is the schooner. Excuse me. It is really dry here, or it's drier. We had our huge Santa Ana windstorms, the biggest one I've ever remembered, and I've lived in Southern California, within 60 miles of where I'm sitting right now, for my entire life. And we know Santa Ana winds, but this one was way above and beyond. It was scary. And of course, when you have a Santa Ana, the pressure goes really high, and it just makes all the hairs stick out, makes me really crabby and nasty. At any rate, I don't know what brought that up. This is the schooner that I've been working on. Oh, it's because I coughed. It's because I'm dried out. All right, so this is a schooner, and it was part of a magazine that I don't have in front of me. So if anybody's interested, it's just a little bitty thing. Hold it up against myself so you can see. And it's from I want to say 1997. I want to say it was called American Needlework from 95, not even 97, I think it was 1995. And the reason I had the magazine is that it had a glorious Santa Claus on the front, and I would really like to finish that one day. 1995. Let's see, that would be 30 years. And maybe my goal shall be to finish that Santa before it's 30 years old. At any rate, it also had this in it, and I was always attracted to this piece. Now, to get it to fit where it's going to go, I had to leave off. It had flags up at the top and more water at the bottom, but it wasn't going to fit where I want to use it if I did all that. And back in those days, that was before over-dyed flosses. They didn't have variegated. DMC made a few variegated colors, but they weren't like graduated shades of graduated values of the same color, let's put it that way. They were, your variegation might have green and pink and blue all in the same thing, and that's not going to give you that shading effect. So to get the shading effect in a piece like this, it used, I think, 5 different colors for the sails. And the same for the water. There are 3 different flosses in the water. So at any rate, what this is for this thing. This is a robe rack for my bathroom. And I just painted it to match the bathroom. This is the color I used for my vanity and baseboards and all that. And then this gets put in here. But you can't do that until you use these holes to secure this to the door. So this used to be just plain wood color with a pig in there, because the theme, I had a farmhouse theme for my house, and the bathroom was pig themed. And I had a little piggy in here. And now I took it all apart, and it's all switched over to coast. It's kind of what I call the coast to coast theme. And I will work this, after I get it attached to the wall, or to the door, I'll work this into that space. So I was happy. That wasn't a fun project to do. I mean, I didn't mind it, but it didn't thrill me. But I'm really glad to have it done, and I will get it posted up in there. And that will be part of the tour. I am going to record a tour of all of the work I've done in the last 2 years. So that's that. So those are my only finishes. And they're not my only whips. And so what I'm going to do, I think, I am trying, you know, like I said, I've been purging this house for 2 years. And my son has stuff at his house. Now his house is a little smaller than mine. But I think maybe with the same, I don't know if they had the idea that they would keep it forever. But my house, by Southern California track standards, was pretty small when we bought it. It's not now. We added on to it, and I think it's fine. Size-wise, it's actually pretty luxurious for just me. But the point was, we bought it thinking we weren't going to have children. Then we had children, and we thought we were going to move into something bigger, and we never did. We raised 2 big boys and some big dogs, and they were busy. They did sports, and they did music, and they ended up musicians. One's a drummer, that takes space. The other one was an acoustic bass player, that takes space. And somehow the house worked fine. So, what was the point of that? I'm not quite out of shock yet. I don't know, did you have that experience? When the pandemic set in, you would think, you know, this is going to work out great for me, because I just can stay home and work on this house. And instead I went into shock for about 3 months, and I just kind of didn't do much of anything. I think what I was starting to say was, oh, I know what it was about. So my son has, it has 2 bedrooms, one of which is very small, and that's where the babies live. And then there's a bigger house, and they had to move, and that had been my son's office. When they were expecting the second baby, the baby room really isn't big enough for 2 kids, at least not long term. So what they did was kind of convert part of their garage into an office for my son, who works from home, and then give what had been his office to the older grandson for his room. And in the course of doing all of that, my son made the comment to me one night, I gotta stop holding on to stuff. He would see value in something that he could make, that he would be able to sell this someday, and he'll hold on to it. And he says, I gotta stop doing that. I just gotta stop holding on to this stuff. They were drowning in it. And I certainly know that feeling. But that has become my mantra as I finish up this work. I say, I gotta stop holding on to stuff. And I've ended up throwing away some stuff that I went, okay, there it goes. It's out of my life now. and that's just the way it is. Toward that end, I am trying to back off of buying haul, and I'm not very successful at that yet, but making haul the center of what we do here. What I wanted in a Flosstube video channel was a way to be accountable for accomplishing things, not for buying things. So I'm just going to back off a little bit on haul. I will show you what I've been getting as it contributes to the projects that I want to work on for 2021. And I know that I've been sharing some of my Disney hauls. I still get the one from Japan. And I said, I'm just going to pick my favorite thing from Japan for our Flosstube video. I got two. I got one of the envelopes. So here's the story about Japan. Japan, I get a monthly mail out from Michael Donahoe in Japan, and he shops and sends it. It's in a package about this big. And it's always cool stuff, and I love it. I'm not going to give it up. And it was coming regularly once a month, and then the pandemic hit, and Japan pretty much locked down. And so they were not allowing international mail to go airmail. It had to go surface mail. And the surface between Eastern Japan and Western United States is all Pacific Ocean. So my packages got packed into containers and shipped across the ocean on containers. And then those things just stacked up. When they got to the mail sorting, the last figure I heard was billions, that there are billions of packages in distribution centers all over the United States that haven't gotten delivered yet because of the pandemic. So with that said, I got a package from Japan, and I said, oh, here's my monthly package. And I opened it and enjoyed it. And the next day I got another one. And I said, oh, okay, my share of those billions is starting to come in. And I got two packages at once. So I just picked my favorite thing to share. I'm not going to open them here anymore. I'm just going to show you my favorite thing. And my favorite thing, I collect Chip and Dale things. Chip and Dale are my favorites. So here's Chip. And here's Dale down here. And it's a water bottle. Now I have this water bottle, very similar. The one I have is Lilo and Stitch, and it talks about Ohana, and it's a little bit bigger. But I have used that bottle, with this style top, like this, to travel for a few years now, and it does not leak. No matter where I take it, if it gets put upside down, tossed around, whatever, on airplanes, boats, whatever, it doesn't leak. And so I'm really happy to have another one, especially when it's a little bit smaller. This is going to be probably my whale watch one, because it'll fit in my whale watch bag really well. And I don't drink a lot. I try to stay hydrated on those trips, but I don't drink a lot of fluid. So anyway, that's my favorite thing from toys from Japan. Other things that I have, I will show you whips. I have already decided I'm not doing Mania this year, although I loved it. It was so much fun last year, but I really haven't touched any of that. I've done Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. I've done a little bit of work here and there on some other pieces, but nothing really meaningful. Nothing that is actually moving me ahead toward any completion on anything. So I decided what I wanted to do is I keep winnowing the amount down. So I started with 31 starts for Mania, and then I got it down to the top 10, and now I've gotten it down again, and I'm in the process of kind of listening to how everybody organizes their work schedules and their rotations or whatever. A lot appeals to me. I bought a couple of the 24 hours of cross stitch planners, printed them out to try to see if I can work that in. The idea I like for that is to calendar for myself in my planner a full weekend or at least 2 days, Friday, Saturday, 12 hours each day, maybe to do 24 hours. And maybe make it one of my fasting weekends. I like to do at least one 24-hour fast, which develops usually into 36 hours in a weekend. And it's easy to do if I'm not trying to exert myself. I don't do heavy digging in the yard. I've done 3-day fasts before. And once you get past the second day, it turns out to be kind of a magical experience. But it's not something I want to do while I'm doing heavy labor. I'm not used to that. So, but I thought that would be neat to kind of schedule a 24 hours of cross stitch in with my 24-hour fast, and just have a day where I kick back and put my feet up and don't even move. Just sit and stitch and drink water and tea and make that my thing. So that's one thing I'm thinking about doing. And then I also kind of like the idea of assigning different kinds of projects for each day of the week. And I think the way that Chelsea and Priscilla do it, or at least I think Priscilla has commented that isn't the only thing she works on that day. She might work a half hour on, if it's, Santa Saturday or Santa Sunday. I can't remember how it worked. But the point is to say, okay, on Monday, I'm going to work on this thing, and on Tuesday, I'm going to work on this, and Wednesday on that for a half an hour, or work in a whole strand. I cut my 6 strands of floss into working length, and I used 2. So if I used one whole length, that's probably an hour's worth of work. And so that I may go that way and really try to make some progress on this stuff. I didn't get into the no new starts for 2021. No, thank you. I had already purchased some patterns that I wanted to start this year and work those through to the end, and we'll see how it goes. My hope is lots of crossed fingers, that with so much done on the house and so much done in my front yard, that I can just kind of maintain and putter with, I take a big sigh of relief. I'm not going to have huge labor chores to do. will have more hours through the day to do the fun things that I retired to do. I retired 4 years ago and I haven't had much fun yet. Yeah, I have had fun. But I still go on whale watches and stuff. So what I want to share as far as haul are some of the projects that I'm going to be working on for 2021. I think I've already shown you this one. And this is called an Autumn Wish, and it is by Cherry Hill Stitchery. And it is this one, May Our Lives Be Full of Thanks and Giving. This was love at first sight for me. I had to have it. I have to do it, and I want it done by Thanksgiving. I've got most of the flosses carded up. I have my working copies of the chart, and even was watching Stitching Housewives, and Creations by Carol had sent them one of these project bags, and I just got breathless. I thought that was gorgeous. And then they turned it around to that side. And I said, I have to do this. I'm a Guerin Stitchery bag collector. I'm in their monthly club, and I love their bags. And then I make them. If they're simple, do I have one of them? Yeah, I made this. I made a whole bunch of them like this for Mania. Just a simple pocket is all it is. So I can do that. And I don't really care about the vinyl, except that on this one, it was like framing a piece of art. So I bought this for the Autumn Wish, and that's going to get started here pretty soon, because like I said, I want it finished for Thanksgiving of 2021. And then while I was doing, well, hello, I'm popping in here. Apparently my camera stopped recording, and I didn't get the usual signal that it was going to stop recording. And there was this jump in content that didn't make any sense. So I am now, a few hours later, it's dark. I've been watching The Flash on Netflix, and they're into the whole time jumping thing right now. And I'm like, I jumped. I used the Speed Force. And I time jumped into another timeline. At any rate, where I was when I left off, I had just been talking about, of course now I've made a mess here and I'm not going to be able to find anything. I had been talking about this, an autumn wish that I wanted to do, and I started to talk about the fabrics. I did go to Michael's today, and I did go to Michael's and I got one of the flosses I was missing, but I got it all carded up. But I didn't have in my stash a piece of fabric that I wanted for it. And so when I was looking for this fabric, I was looking for, last year, the fabric for the Shores of Hakron Hollow, and I wanted the piece to look like the cover picture. And so I looked and looked and looked for fabric that had this kind of almost a sunny gold to it, variegated, and I couldn't find it. I looked and I looked and I looked, and I finally ended up on the website for, I'm trying to find their label here. It's called, where are my rolls here? Vintage Needle Arts. They have an Etsy store, and I found this color. It's a 14, and I think that I can just tell you, I think I already talk about this. But their fabrics are wonderful. I'll just make this short. They're, this has a front and a back, so the one side is a little darker than the rest. And what I appreciated about them when I bought the Shores of Hakron Hollow fabric was that I could get a bigger piece of it. And that's not a huge issue for an autumn wish. This is one I think is 18 by 21. That'll be plenty big enough for this. But you can get larger fabrics. And I think that actually gets me caught up with where I pick up after my camera stops recording. But I jump, I'm just talking about this, and then when you come back after, when I started the next section, I was waving this piece of fabric around and it didn't make any sense. So I need to splice this in and wish you well. Hit my 4 gigabytes. I guess it's been a while since we visited here. Anyway, they're awesome. And again, this is how they're delivered. They're delivered in tubes, or not in tubes. They're delivered in rolls within a box that compensates. So they're not all folded up. And the colors are gorgeous. And this was exactly what I wanted. I wanted a light color with variegation in it, but I didn't want dirt. I wanted it to be a little more, a little bit fresher looking, if that makes any sense. So this one is called Irish Cream. It is a 14 count Aida, and the reason I got to 14, first of all, my vision problems, I prefer working on a bigger Aida, but this was the called for size. I think she uses a 28. So for me to get at the size that hers is, I needed to go to the 14. So Irish Cream, this was an 18 by 21, 14 count. So I was really happy with that. And then of course you can't just order one thing without checking out to see what else they have, right? So I went scrolling through their catalog or their online listings and ran across, and first I have to get these out. I can't really show them. Let's see, wait a minute. Let's see if I have one that is not the chart. I found these, it's a company called My Fanny. Yeah, there it is. Okay, good. And she has several Santas. And this is one of them. So this is a line. The one that attracted me has owls all around them. And I decided to go ahead. They're just PDF files, so they were cheap. I'm just kind of focusing all on wildlife. And I wanted him in a woodland. I wanted it to feel like the woods for him. So I went through my stash and didn't have quite the right green. So I think I went to Garen, I'm not sure, and bought a piece of green. No, this is wait a minute. Yeah, I've done it both ways. I did both of them. I pulled this out of stash. This is from Bestitch Me, and this one was called Martini. And it was a little bit darker than I wanted. Not in value, but it was like leaning more toward a gray green than a real green. Then I went to Garen and I bought this one. This is from Mountain Air and it's called Apple Harvest. And it turned out not to be green enough for what I wanted. It was leaning a little too much to brown. So I was browsing through on my vintage needle arts and found this one. And this one, again, it's a 14 count. Sorry, I should have done this before I started, huh? This one is called Emerald Green. And it is a yummy green. No, that's not showing up very well, and I didn't grab my board. So I said, that's it. That's the one I want for those Santas. So I grabbed that one. And then I kept looking, and I have, well, let me show you. Maybe I'll just wait until I actually start them. I also have in this bag the Stitching with the Housewives Gingerbread Cookies series. And this is what I was going to do before I found the Santas. But the one, what is this one called? Mrs. Claus. And then the cookie bowl thing, this one's called Mrs. Claus's Cookies. And then Santa's Cookies. And then the Gingerbread Cottage. And I saw them, they weren't done all as one piece, but they were mounted onto something. The individual charts were, someone finished it by mounting it all together. And I wanted to do that. But then I found these Santas, and I think what I'm going to just do, when I do use them as a whip, to do a whip report, I'll just bring them out one at a time, just show you where I've gone with those. The Stitching with the Housewives, this is so bizarre. I mean, but this is just how I am. I love everything about their charts, except I don't like the Ray Dunn cups on the cup series, and I don't like the trucks on the truck series. So I'm trying to figure out, I think what I'm going to do with the Redone Cup series is substitute a terracotta flower pot for the cup and do everything else around it, but it'll be a flower pot instead of the cup. And for the truck, I'm trying to find a good chart for like a flower cart. And I haven't had much luck yet. I don't mind buying it and adjusting it. I just haven't found one that's appropriate, the right size and all that stuff. So, so they're just going to wait for a while until I get around to that. Then, what's that one? And this is a Garon bag, by the way. This is the 18-inch. I actually prefer this size. So I'm going to, my membership will be up in March, and I'm going to give my spot to someone who's been on the waiting list, and then just start buying these when they come available, unless the guys decide to start a club for people who prefer that size, but I don't see that happening. At any rate, I want to do this one. Silver Creek sampler, what is it called? Christmas. Huh. Oh, my Christmas list. And I was concerned about having a piece big enough because I want to do it on a bigger. So 14 is 28. It's going to be a little over 7 inches wide by almost 21 inches long. And that's not, if I'm just buying a piece of fabric that's 21 inches, that's not enough for finishing. So I bought this one. And it, I think, is longer than that. So here's my label for that. Yeah, this one was 30 inches. And I just think it's the most gorgeous blue. It's exactly the color I wanted to do it on. Just enough variation in the color and the dye to give some dance to it, to make it dance a little bit, but not enough that the variegation is taking over the design. And then I decided to use my Victorian motto sampler threads. I haven't gotten these for a while. I keep paying by invoices, and I know I haven't gotten December. I don't think I got November's. I think the last one I got may have been October. But I'm not sure because I haven't been keeping very close tabs on it. But I know I didn't get December. Pretty sure of that. So it's a kind of a common thing that people are noticing, and mostly I'm just hoping she's okay. Nancy used to live in my town. I didn't know her, but it makes me feel connected to her because she kind of knew where I was. So I hope she's all right. I hope everything's going okay for you. And I will be doing all of this Christmas list just with those flosses. At any rate, the blue is called Ocean, 14 count. What I like about this business, my Vintage Needle Arts, is they tell you who made the fabric. So the Ocean is a Zweigart Aida, and the emerald green solid is a Charles Craft Aida, and then the Irish cream is another Zweigart Aida cloth. So that's kind of neat to have for my record keeping, which I'm terrible at, but that's, if I have any resolutions at all, it's, that's one of them. I would like to be able to, I have a really nice book that I could fill out on a lot of my projects, and I'd like to be able to do that. This stuff is new. I am not a big fan of the Nora Corbett ladies or the mermaids or anything. None of that has ever really appealed to me. But Garon posted this. Oh my gosh. So I am totally into Christmas and birds. Can you see that? It is called Winter Nest. And if you count the little birds, that's how many eggs are in the nest. So I think that's darling, darling, darling. And I am going to do that. And then they came out with these, and I love, this is, you know, just so Gary and Ronnie. I made a little joke about waiting for them to get these, hoping that they would, you know, not even knowing if they were going to get them. And it caught somebody's attention, neither Ronnie or Gary's, that it made them laugh. And so I guess it caught their attention when they got, and they said, yeah, we did order them. So as soon as they got them, they sent me a quick email to say, hey, Dad. And so I got the winter bear. And this is the winter hare. Don't you think that's going to make a nice collection in my room? That warm, cozy room, that's where these guys are going to go at Christmas. They're going to be up on the wall, somewhere in there. And for this, I'm just not a fan of neutrals. I'm really not. I am nuts about color. So at the same time that they posted these, they also had a piece of a fabric that they called Arctic Blast. And I said, I could really see doing these guys on this instead of the neutral. So that's going to happen. This is not a goal for 2021. To get it started and to do regular work on it is a goal for 2021. I'm going to start with the birds and see how that goes. If I can come up with a rotation that works, that would be great. I just don't know. I haven't been able, I just haven't been able to think this year. Oh, that doesn't go in there. Like I said, I felt like I was in pandemic shock for about the first 3 months. Then I started getting into working on my house. I still take care of my mother. She doesn't need a lot of taking care of, but I still take care of her 3 days a week. And I brought her home for a whole week, a couple of weeks ago. Someone walked into her house as a visitor. She doesn't live alone. We'll just leave it at that. And this person walked in with 101.5 fever. And we were sitting without masks because that's my pod. It's my mother and I. Sometimes my sister, sometimes my nephew. But for the most part, when I go to visit, she and I are just all alone downstairs. And, you know, this friend, it was my nephew's girlfriend, walked in, and he starts shouting across to his mom. One of the things that came out that he was shouting was that his girlfriend had 101 fever, 101.5, and she went upstairs with him, and I called because I was on my way out, and I left, went home, called the next morning and said, oh, by the way, is she still there? And the answer was yes. And so I drove and collected up my mom and a bunch of stuff and brought her here, just in case. So, and we had a fine time. It's cold here. My house is really cold because I don't have a heater. Now, I'm not talking Minnesota cold. I'm not talking Massachusetts cold. I'm talking Southern California cold. If I could climb on my roof and look out that way, I could see the ocean. So that mitigates everything. But my house has been, I don't have a heater, so my house has been running between 55 and 59. On really warm days, it'll get up to about 60, 62. And I survive with heaters. I have space heaters in the rooms where I hang out. And now that front room, I have the fire, and it acts like a space heater. That room will be about 5 degrees higher than the rest of the house. Now, when you're at 55 and it gets up to 60, that's still a little uncomfortable for just sitting around stitching or anything. But my hope is that when it gets up, as spring starts settling in, my hope is the inside of the house will get up to more like 64 and without a heater, and then that room can heat it up to 70, 68 to 70, and I'll be fine with that. I'm making a decision about what I want to do. Winters are going to keep getting colder. This is the reality of global warming. It's the way it works. Winters will get colder. Summers are going to get hotter. And I'm really debating if I want to put in just a new heater or do I want a heater and air conditioner? And if I do that, do I want a gas heater and an electric air conditioner? I have solar on my house, and so do I produce enough electricity to have an electric heater and air conditioner? And I can't make those decisions yet. I said, just go without for a winter and see. If I really only need heat a few days out of a winter, so far I'm doing fine, then maybe I can do electric with just my solar and not go, into huge financial distress just trying to keep my house warm. So the last thing I want to share as far as haul and whips and starts and all that are these two pieces. I have fallen in love with the Country Cottage Needleworks Glitter Village, and so I ordered all of those patterns. I haven't decided what it's going to go on yet. I'm going to go through my fabric stash and see if anything speaks to me. And then I collected, as it went through, the Pine Needles Christmas stitch along that she did this year. And I can't show it to you because it's just charts. But I'm sure a lot of you are aware of it. It's a tiny little thing. And it brings back nice memories for me. I have shopped at Pine Needles many times. I used to have a condo in Ogden, Utah. And I would drive up to Ogden, and then at least once while I was up there, I would drive back down to South Jordan to go to Gardner Village, which is a hoot. It is just a fabulous place. Archibald Gardner was a miller, and he had either 7 wives or 11 wives. I can't remember how many wives he had, but he built a little house for each of his wives. And the little houses now are along a stream. The mill is here. Let me get it in my head. The mill is here. And then the houses go like this up along a little stream, and it has a bridge and it has ducks in it. And it's just delightful. It is just delightful. And each little house has a little boutique of some kind in it. And then Pine Needles used to be up at the end of the stream, but they've moved down next to the mill. And it is such a neat shop. It was a neat shop when it was up at the end of the stream because it was warm and cozy and kind of dark. When they moved it down by the mill, it was bright and sunny and happy. I loved both of them. So anytime I went up there, I got into way too much trouble at both of them. And so I recognized the name. I said, well, there must be a million Pine Needles. Maybe 100 of them in the United States. Lots of pine forests around here. And it was the same one. It was my old friend Pine Needles. So I want to do this year. I want to do, I don't know that I can do one every day, but there are 24 of them, and there's 52 weeks in the year. And if I fit it in, I feel like I could do one box in each section. It's an advent calendar. And I think I could do one box in a session on a day of the week and then have it done by then. But what I did, I decided, I was lying. I decided to do Glitter Village on this. This is a Bestitch Me. It's the Opalescent Mummy, and it's a 16 count. I don't know if you can actually see. It has a green opal in there. So I think that'll work for the Glitter Village. You know what I don't have for this are the flosses, and I want to use the call for flosses, and I'm ready to order those from Garon next week and get those in. And I have to figure out how big it is because I don't know if I can do both, but I'm just going to go through my stash and try to find another opalescent. I'm not a fan of opalescents by any reach, but I think it's appropriate for this. So I'm going to work on that. And then today I went to Michael's for another thing, for things for working on my house. And since I was there and it wasn't very crowded, I said, I'm just going to go and get all of the flosses I need for this chart. And get that done. I don't want to put it off and miss out. So they actually had all I needed. Hallelujah. And so I got all those and I'm ready to kit that up. The other thing I got at Michael's, and all of the Priscilla and Chelsea fans will recognize the tin. They had one tin, I believe, last year. It was blue, had like a Peter Rabbit on it. And then the housewives charts fit on these ends. Well, they would fit over this too, but isn't that cute? This year they have the blue one, a green one, and a pink one. They also have an amazing post box this year, and I didn't buy it. I'm gonna wait until next week, see if it goes on. You know, they do a pre-sale of their seasonal, and they were frantically stocking stuff today. So I'm gonna wait and see if that seasonal goes on sale next week and see if I can grab that. I actually think I'm gonna go buy it. It's $40, well worth it. And I think I'm gonna go get it next week, whether it's on sale or not. I don't wanna miss it, but it really is beautiful. And after I get it, I'll share it with you. So I think that's it. Thanks for the therapy session. Oh, I wanted to say what prompted me to do this today, to just actually suck it up. That makes it seem like this is a negative thing. It's not. It's just that I keep trying to work it in, and it's never quite the right day. And I said, you know, you're not going to find the right day. You have to do it. Just go ahead and do it. This I discovered for the first time, Scott Stitches in Spain. What a delightful human being. I enjoyed him so much. He doesn't have a lot of posts yet, but he has some, and he is just a fun guy, really fun to watch. So I have lots of Flosstube channels in my subscriptions, and then I kind of just have 4 or 5 that I make sure I don't miss in the week. And I'm adding Scott to those. I'll check every week and see if he's done something new. So I've just about filled up my second 4 gigabytes. I need to go edit and get something to drink, get some more water. Hope the winter's going okay. We're really worried. My favorite place in the world is Highway 1 by Big Sur on the California Central Coast. The rain that I got was a gentle drizzle that went on for about 2.5 days. Perfect. They got pounded there, and the creek that's near where the Dolan fire was this summer washed out the highway, so that we won't be able to, those of us who love that drive are not going to be able to take it maybe ever again. But Caltrans said that they'd kicked forward the money and they were already on site trying to see what they need to do. Those of us that are keeping an eye on it saying, looks like there's going to be a new bridge because the highway is gone. There's a mountain, there's the ocean, and there's a hole. And there's also, if you look at the pictures of it, there's cracks in the road on the other side of the hole. And so I think they're probably going to lose more of it. And I don't know, Bixby Bridge is pretty famous. So we might have another good-sized bridge, but that's going to take years to do. I hope I live long enough to get to drive it again. So I hope you're not having any disasters because of weather, because things are challenging enough, right? Okay. I'll see you next time. Bye. So I want to take a before picture of this space. This was the original living room to my house. I'm standing at the front door in the entry, and it's gone through a lot of transformations over the 45 years that I've been in this house. It started as the living room. There's a fireplace back there. There's a picture back there, and then the bookshelves that was all part of the original living room. And then at one point we moved the bed out here, and it was going to be temporary, but we liked it so much out here because it was quieter here than at the back of the house where there's a big road. So we had a wall built, and you can kind of see the remains of the wall because I just had it taken out. So this is what remains of the wall. And a little e-ticket ride. There's a nice big window in here, and it's, I wouldn't call that a cathedral ceiling, although by Southern California standards back then when we moved in, they were calling them cathedral ceilings. Right now, it is storing my stuff from when I retired from teaching that I have to go through. Now that it's been a couple of years and I know that I have no interest in going back to teaching, I can get rid of a lot of this stuff. It has stuff. My son was living in this room for a couple of years, and there is some of his stuff here. And then there is the king-size bed. When we originally had it in the master bedroom, the room is so small, and it had to be a king-size bed because my husband was 6'4" and had to have a big bed. The only thing that would fit in that room would, for clothes, we couldn't fit the bed and a dresser because the master bedroom was too small. And so we bought this thing because it has dressers underneath it and hutch on top and all of that, and it took care of all the storage needs. I really have loved this bed. In fact, both of my children were born in this bed, not here, but when it was in the back. But it's done its time for me. I need to change things around here now that I live here by myself and want to have company. I want my children and grandchildren to be able to come and stay and have places to be. So the plan is to keep these dressers. If I put the two dressers together, it will form a base big enough for a queen-size bed. So I'm going to keep the dressers, get rid of everything else, eventually get everything out of here, moved out of here into a pod, so that I can replace the carpet and the flooring. Look at this. This over here. Let's see if we can find the spot. See the darkness? The dark carpet? That's what the color of the carpet originally was. And I would have it cleaned and have it cleaned, and eventually ended up with this other color, which isn't bad, but it's not what I wanted. The ceilings need to be done. The ceiling needs to be done. The room needs to be painted. A lot of the old ancient technology outlets need to be closed up and a new flooring put in. And then I'm going to move the television entertainment center from the family room into this room and get some couches, some lazy boy, fold out beds, that kind of stuff in here, so that I have a second place for people to gather where the TV is away from where people want to visit. So that's the plan for in here. And the first step was to have the wall taken out so that I can start moving things around. For right now, I don't know if you can see, let's try this. There's a whole stack of cushions there that are for some backyard furniture that I have that I want to paint, and then I'll use those cushions on that. So that'll get those out of there. The suitcases are me getting ready to go to Tokyo, and as I buy things for the trip, I just kind of throw them over there, and there will have to be some serious sorting and packing before I go, obviously, but that's what's going on in there for now. And then at this point, the house goes into two separate areas. Kitchen, this way goes to the kitchen family room, and then you come this way and it's more the sleeping areas. So the bathrooms are here, like we sleep in the bathroom. This room is still in the beginning stages of its renovation. I had a really nasty shower that I wouldn't use because I was so afraid of mold. So I've had that redone, and now I have to get this wallpaper off. I've gotten started on it, but I really haven't been too serious about it because I have a lot going on in my life right now. But I have the decorations for it. I want to take this frame. They took the mirror out when they it was in the way of doing the shower and it was all trashed anyway. So I said, go ahead and take it out. So all this paper has to come out. I have the paint down here to paint it with. I have this frame. I'm hoping that the glass company will just put a mirror in there for me. And then I have collected over the years all kinds of stuff to put in here. This is kind of the, I guess they call it an inspiration piece. It's a limited edition print. I got it at the Monterey Bay Aquarium 30 years ago or longer. And it's going to, I kind of picked the colors for the shower, for the paint and all from that picture. So it's a house full of things that need to be done. At any rate, when I take that bed apart, it's going back here. And this is another room that right now is just a transition room. I'm redoing the garage. That stack of boxes over there goes in the garage. A lot of these boxes are empty or can be empty pretty quickly. They were my husband's office boxes. My son has taken what he wants and now I can kind of move that out. That stuff in the back corner is mostly empty storage boxes. But there is stuff again from my classroom back there that I need to sort through and just make a final decision on. This stuff is my son's and it needs to move out. And when that happens, those two dresser parts for that old bed are going to come into this space and be a guest bed. And then I also will have, I have a desk that I want to refinish. And I want it to go in this corner here so that I have kind of a dedicated writing space every day. As part of my morning routine, I like to do what are called morning pages. And 3 pages of writing just to kind of clear my head. And that I don't have a really good space to do that right now. So I want to have a dedicated writing space with maybe some pretty things on it. The way the desk is designed, it could almost be have an altar type feel to it. And so that's the goal for there. But there's just a lot of stuff. These were my husband's heavy coats. They're really good coats. Maybe my kids want them, maybe they don't. I need to get that clarified and then move them on to someone else because they're kind of wasted now. Although in here, this is a frock coat. And so this is the sneak peek of the room that I hope I was able to find the before clip of to splice in before this. There's still stuff to be done in here. My entertainment center from the other family room is going to go on this wall here. Obviously, I need to take, I'm not actually sure I'm going to take this tree down. It really does fit my theme in here, which is woodland, bears, I've got chipmunks over there and a bear over there and a moose up there. And it really fits the room. But I need to take the Christmas, this is my Disney tree, so that's my collection of Disney ornaments. I need to take those down. And then this other little tree, I have a collection of miniature Christmas ornaments that never did get put up this year. It needs to come down. And all of this is Christmas stuff that needs to get packed away. Mostly because this courtyard out here, looks like I have a water problem I need to check into. This is where I like to watch the birds take baths in the morning. They kind of come in one variety, one species after another for the morning. So the courtyard needs a lot of work, and that's okay because I love to work in the garden. But for now, this is the quick peek of where I went for this room. And I did this room, a bathroom, a guest room, and it also included some of my sewing rooms. So that will be a whole tour. Maybe it's a month away. I'm not sure. Life tends to get funny around this time. I have to spend time in my yard because we had a big windstorm last week, followed immediately by 2 or 3 days of steady rain. I don't have rain damage, and I don't have a lot of wind damage. The damage I have is that the neighbor across the street lost her bottle brush tree, and my yard is right now filled with her bottle brush waste. So I need to get that out and then get on top of the winter rye that's starting to go to seed. It's up, and I want to get it all out before it takes hold, before it actually starts throwing those seeds around. But for right now, I'm just celebrating that this room, except for having the movers in, excuse me, except for having the movers in to put the entertainment center in here and a little bit of flotsam cleanup, this room is done. And I'm thrilled with it, and I can't wait to show it off when it's completely finished.